Selwyn here from WynnStrength.com, wrapping up the second week of training with my new Average to Savage training program. Training program released by Greg Nuckols over at StrongerByScience.com, and I'll leave links below so you can check out the program yourself. And definitely check out the website because they lay out an amazing amount of resources, obviously all scientifically backed recommendations and really interesting articles they publish. So check them out. Definitely I rely on them heavily with my own training and my own learning and development with regards to strength training. So week 2 of the ATS program going quite well. Week 1 had some issues with the weight selections that I inputted for the first week, but that's kind of normal with any new training program. Again, those first couple of weeks are going to be really there for you to acclimatize to the training volume, the new training stimulus, the different recommendations they provide. Again, it is a weekly undulating program, so we'd had different rep schemes, different set schemes this week, and that'll again be different next week for the third week, and then again fourth week. So we're playing around with different reps. And that's to mitigate stress, to help drive up adaptations. It's one method to periodize a program. There are plenty of other ways to do that. I'll definitely put some videos in the future where I talk about the different theories and the different structures of training, and really all it is you organizing how you're going to train, because there's an infinite there's infinite ways to train. We really need to dial that down and get hyper specific and have some sort of structure as to how to line that roadmap up so that we can get to where we want to go to with regards to strength training. So with that in mind, the auto-regulation feature of the program is really cool. Because of the first week's performance, now we have new weight recommendations for this week, and I can already tell it's lining up to put in the weights where I'm hitting the target sets and reps that they're prescribing in the program. The weights that I'm using, the weight that I use in first week were slightly off. Second week, definitely honing in on that, and I'm predicting that by the third week, those weights are going to be spot on the middle, spot on target, and we're going to be hitting some good numbers and some good weights and some good reps and getting some good feedback there. And I think that's one of the cool things with this program, the spreadsheet, is that it matches to your stress levels and your ability to execute on the program week to week. So if I'm feeling great this week, we're going to see some adjustments in the training next week because we built up some good progress this week. We want to ride that wave. But if we're feeling a bit crummy and a bit crappy this week, we're going to be able to mitigate that and come back next week with slightly lower weights so that we don't overstress the body, because potentially that's a sign that we need to dial it back a little bit, take the foot off of the gas pedal and give ourselves some time to recover while still training and still trying to get that stimulus so that the week after that we can respond a little bit better. And I think this is probably the next best thing you can get to having an actual coach, because the good thing with a coach and having structured programming is that we take a slightly more macro view of training. Training is more than just that day of training that you do. This day's training has to build up to this week's training, and this week's training has to build up for the month's training, and then obviously that subsequently to the year's training. So when we take a bit more of a bird's eye view of the training, and then we structure where we're going to be going, and then we're going to have strategies in place for when our training overperforms or underperforms for that week, we're going to be able to dial in and kind of triangulate where we're going to end up after the few weeks of training. But if we're kind of playing it day by day without any real strategy as to where we want to go, it's going to be a lot less efficient and a lot less effective at hitting our training goals and getting better as a lifter. When we outsource that out to a third party that doesn't really care how we feel that day, you're going to have a lot more better of a training stimulus, in my own personal opinion, just because when you do program for yourself, there is a tendency to either self-doubt, or we're going to be able to either over or underestimate what we're actually capable of. When we have either a coach or a training template with algorithms in place that can adjust the workload to where we want to get to based on today's performance, that'll be really good, because we don't need to be doing 100% effort 100% intensity every single workout. Some workouts need to be 8, some need to be 7, some need to be 10, some need to be a lot lighter in order for us to propel forward. It's not just about putting your foot to the floor every single time you train. Yes, you need that intensity. Yes, you need to be focused. But when you take that bird's eye view and you can actually see the structure and the roadmap of where you need to go, I think that's where the beauty of periodization and the beauty of having a structured training program in place is really going to help you progress further as a lifter. It's helped me progress a lot further than I thought I was possible. And one thing that has helped me in the past get through plateaus is following a training program. When I wasn't following a training program, it would be super easy to hit plateaus. I would hit plateau after plateau and kind of rewind and try and reattempt it, and not really get anywhere. But when I started implementing some training programs and following these guidelines, that's when I saw my progress really accelerate and really see a lot of progress, and plateaus became fewer and fewer, and really you're seeing a lot of progress week to week, and then probably every couple of months you hit a training plateau, just because that's life. And I think we're always going to hit a plateau. It's just if we can decrease the frequency and decrease the amount of time we're stuck at that plateau. And I think that's where training programs come in, because they help mitigate that stress and play to your strengths and weaknesses in order to come out with the best possible solution using both efficient and effective means of getting there. What I'll do now is flick over to some training footage, do some voiceovers, and again, because it is a paid training program, I won't really be outlining what the training is. I'll just be showing you some highlights and lowlights over the course of the week. So with the program, we do have that feature of weekly undulation. So we've actually reduced the reps here again for the squat. So we're actually playing around lower reps. So we're doing heavy triples here for as many sets as we can, given the RIR cutoff. Again, I've switched over to the Ssb Squats because it has been really helping with my shoulder pain and managing that stress there on the shoulder joint. I'm able to really squat heavy here. I think it does have a lot of carryover to a regular squat. We're moving over here to some push pressing, a movement that I haven't done for quite a while. It's actually a nice movement, I think, to help reinforce having a solid base. Obviously, having that solid core helps transfer over to the strict press. I don't think the shoulder activation here is that great. It's really more getting help with the stability of the core as well as supporting the weight overhead. Again, just some flat benching with some heavy triples again. It's been going good because now we're having a lot more volume and sets, and there's really no issues with the injuries in the shoulder joint. Here we have some really poorly performed windshield wipers. This should get better over time, just because that's indicative of my really weak abs. Here we do have some conventional deadlifting. So the program does involve both sumo and conventional deadlifting, which kind of reinforces my own personal opinion that they're both helpful for developing a solid level of strength. You don't need one or the other, you need both. And here we are doing, again, heavy triples. This is heavy triples week, you could probably imagine, but with a lot of sets. So we are getting more volume in, getting that more hypertrophic response and stress to the muscles. And I've been playing around a lot more with incline bench pressing, just because I do think, after listening to some more Stronger by Science information there, that you do get some larger range of motion with the incline bench press, because you can't arch that back as much, and even if you do, you end up resetting that chest back to flat. Playing around with some more novel movements here, some T-bar rows, really cool movement for overloading the back a little bit. You're able to really reduce that range of motion because of the way that it's set up, and you're able to just drive a bit more volume here. Rather than going heavy, I am increasing the amount of reps I do. And here we have the strict overhead press. What I've been focusing on is really controlling that descent, trying to control that descent, and I think that's been helping reinforce, again, the stability of the hips and the core, so that I'm able to handle a bit more heavy weight overhead. We are introducing some more unilateral work, so we are doing some reverse lunges here with the SS yoke bar. I kind of like having the SS yoke bar rather than the barbell. Again, it does alleviate some of that stress in the back and the shoulders of having to keep that barbell there in that back rack position for an extended amount of time. and I think unilateral work is quite helpful. After ignoring it for quite a while, you can see that I'm using relatively light weights there. Here we do have some, moving on to some weighted chin-ups. I do like to do both the chin-up and the pull-up variety over the course of the week. And what I will do is do a body weight version of that and then a weighted version of that, where with the body weight we try and increase the reps each week, and the weighted version we try and increase the reps each week, so we're kind of getting both effects there. Here we have a little bit of a higher incline bench press. I like playing around with the different incline settings just to get a little different stimulus. This one will obviously engage a little bit more of the front delts as well as that upper pec area. Here we are with some awkward duck walking. I tried this out with a single farmer handle. Not really the best. I mean, you kind of do what you can with the equipment you have. So practicing some duck walks downhill. The downhill, getting the weights down there is a bit more annoying than it is getting the weights back up, funnily enough. But here we do have some farmer carries uphill. I've been quite liking the uphill. I think it's a little bit nicer on the joints, much like uphill sprinting. And that'll wrap up the second week of training. Hopefully you found that insightful and interesting. Like usual, I'll leave a playlist here so you can stay up to date with the training under the new Average to Savage training program. We're only week 2 out of week 21. This has been Selwyn from Wynn Strength, and remember, a better life through strength.